Back in November of 2021, I was volunteering for Make-A-Wish, making ribbon walls for a couple of their Wish events. I enlisted the help of my friends Mazie and Wade to make this pom-pom garland based off of a Sorry Girls video. The goal was to make some ASMR, and I do have an edit of that on my other channel if you're interested. But Wade and I ended up talking about our gender experiences, and the convo was so open and affirming for me that I really wanted to share it. That said, if gender is a pressure point for you, this conversation may be triggering. If that's the case, I send you out with love. And for those who stick around, I thank you for listening with an open mind and an open heart. Before we get into the combo, you might want to know how to make your own pom-poms. It's very easy. You can see us modeling the 3 basic steps here. Start out by wrapping some nice chunky yarn around any sort of object. We used cardboard. Once you get that to a good thickness, you're going to take it off the cardboard and tie it into a little bundle. And then once it's tied up, you can take some scissors and cut the loops and trim the ends into some beautiful little pom-poms. Now you're primed and ready to make your own pom-poms and perhaps explore the wonderful world of gender diversity. Enjoy. Okay, as a they them, how do you feel about like the adoption of that pronoun universally? Like for me, I feel like my gender identity is very much tied to, or like my gender expression is tied to my identity. But when it actually comes to the use of pronouns, my frustration is not that people are misgendering me. Yeah. It's that I think that using pronouns perpetuates the binary in our society. And I would much rather have people, instead of throwing like gender reveal parties or whatever, just like defaulting their babies to they.
Yeah, before they've decided. It makes no sense that you would gender your baby if they don't have any idea like what their chosen identity is. I mean, that's like...
Yeah, and then like you're making that choice for them by using...
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you're not making that choice for them, you're making their decision and their experience so much harder.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I see some people who like get frustrated that more people who like don't necessarily identify as genderqueer or gender fluid or non-binary or whatever are using they them pronouns. And I understand some people who like I can understand the feelings behind that, but I'm also like I think of a different mentality where I'm like, oh no, I think we should all be adopting this, whether or not we have like
I feel like
similar...
unless I think it's unless we've actually considered it. I think unless you've thought about it, I think the idea of everybody adopting their own pronouns before they've actually like considered the idea of their gender identity could be a really useful thing. I think it should be a very intentional thing. I don't think that you should just like. I think everybody should think about their gender identity. I think everybody should really contemplate it, and it should be an intentional thing instead of just being this like forced like and generally like very peripheral thing.
Totally. And very homogenizing, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I heard somebody recently say that their idea was to totally eradicate the gender binary. And I don't agree with that. I think that there are some people that very intentionally want to feel masculine or feel feminine. And in my personal opinion, I think that those things, the only value we have for those things are generally in our culture things that it's like the products that are marketed to you as a male or a female. You know, I think that the idea of what a male or a female is for us right now in most everybody's head is something as a construct. You know, there's not, but if you really consider it, there's no real like value, like what's masculine, what's feminine.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, honestly.
Like, without forcing myself to think of the construct, I don't know if I would identify as non-binary. I think I could just be biologically male, but that means otherwise there's no expectation. Literally, like that's my biology, that's the way that I'm built, and otherwise, apart from that, there's no expectation of what like male is.
Dude,
you know, there's no expectation of what male or female should be, or like or roles or But I don't know. I feel like our culture is not there yet. So I think
Right. It's hard to like have that ideal in your head and that dream and to have certain elements of it in your life in like safe spaces and queer spaces.
Yeah.
And then to also like go down a men's deodorant aisle at
No,
Walmart.
that's true.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But
Yeah.
no, I think our idea of male and female in our culture is like totally contingent upon products and totally like based on capitalism otherwise, and like weird like old Anglo-Christian ideals that are totally like vestigial, like make no sense.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I agree with that. I also think that there is something more innate than that, because I feel very similarly to what you're saying, where like my biology is my biology, and without all of this social baggage, I feel like that can just exist and be what it is.
Yeah, totally.
But also I chose to go on hormones. And I say I chose to go on hormones, but I went on hormones and then I got so much better, and I'm like, maybe my body just had a hormone imbalance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And like our society has made so much bullshit around the way that those hormones affect how we express our identity.
Yeah. I feel like my gender is something that I just recently started like really focusing on.
Was there anything that catalyzed that for you?
I think that as I thought a lot about my younger self, and as a younger person, I wanted to be a woman. I remember being like 3 or 4, and as soon my mom told me that there's like that you could transition, and as soon as I found that out, I was obsessed with the idea of transitioning into a woman. I started thinking that really popped up a lot recently, and I felt like I don't feel like a man. I don't feel particularly masculine, whatever that fucking means, you know. But it's not something like when I think of masculinity, I don't think of myself at all.
I feel like, is it one of those things where it's like that's not how you want to be perceived when you show up for the roles that you show up for? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
because that's kind of how it is for me. It's like every time I get called ma'am at the grocery store, I'm like, oh, you're not perceiving me how I perceive myself.
Exactly. And there's like there's a role that by saying ma'am or by saying sir, there's an expectation that you have built into there's a construct that you're perpetuating in your own head. Like you're seeing a character, you're creating a character out of me that I am not, you know, that I don't appreciate.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very hyper focused on people's perceptions of me.
I'm really vibing off what you're talking about. Yeah. That's where the dissonance comes from for me. Like there's obviously like the body like dysphoria and dysmorphia, where that is a very personal experience that is like experienced intimately. But for me, most of my gender dysphoria comes from what you were just talking about, where it is like I think I'm serving a particular energy, and then I realize that like only a small portion of the population is digesting that energy in its like raw form, how I am like intending to put it out.
Totally.
I'm like, where are those enlightened folk, and how can I surround myself with them, which has worked pretty successfully.
You know, piece.
Thank you. Oh, teamwork. Yeah, dude. Do you accept Jude as a gender neutral term?
Dude, oh yeah, for sure. I accept bruh as a junior neutral term, to be honest with you. So what stimulated your want to start taking testosterone, or just your gender like awakening?
Yeah. It took me a long time to come to terms with testosterone stuff.
Yeah. Is this like a newer development?
Yeah. I've been on it a year to the day. Guys.
Yo,
yeah. Aw, man. Yes. Aw. Dude. Wow, yeah, that's wild. It's my anniversary.
Oh, congrats though.
Thank you for being here. It was definitely pandemic style, where I was like, oh, I gotta fucking do this. You know, I spend enough time with myself being like, I could continue to be unhappy with myself, or I could just do this thing even if it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. Crossing.
Heard. Jeff.
I just think they're so cute like this.
They are so fucking cute.
Like, even before you put them on the plan.
They're just like little lambs.
Oh. That was loud.
Beautiful.
Crisp.
Maybe I'm pretty loose, you're doing tight. I feel like I'm doing mine way too tight. I'm like blue knuckling, or whatever, white knuckling, whatever you call it.
He knuckled so hard they turned blue. Oh, see, and then those are the moments where I'm like, after all of that talk, I use the wrong fucking pronoun. You know what I mean?
I do that too sometimes. I do that often. Sometimes I misgender myself, dude. It's a new thing. Something that I'm getting used to.
Yeah.
Something that I'm really excited about, but it's also something that I've been going by he my entire fucking life. It takes a minute, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and then sometimes I can't tell if I'm like bothered by she or if I'm just like noticing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where I'm like, when I first asked people to use a different pronoun for me, it's like, does this actually hurt, or am I just like butting up against something that I didn't realize was there before?
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
I was surprised to hear that you heard about transitioning at such a young age, you know, for someone who's like in my age bracket, because that was something that I didn't even really know about until I hit the internet at like 13, you know? Yeah. And then I'm like, thank God for you too.
It started with, when I was a kid, my favorite movie was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. You ever seen that?
Oh,
We just watched that recently, but it was my favorite movie. And one of the characters is trans. Has transitioned. Bernadette. And I really liked her character a lot. And I was just like, I was obsessed with that movie. I just like, I would get up and drag. I was really into drag as a kid.
Nice.
And I would wear dresses all over the place with no mixed reviews. It was always bad. I got a lot of lashback for it. And blowback for it. And then I just like cut that part of myself off.
It's hard to keep doing something you love if you're getting hate.
Yeah, dude. And then I got back into it. I moved to Asheville in probably like 2012, 2011? No, 2013. And I had a friend who was really, that wanted to transition and wanted to go by she, her pronouns and wanted to go out and present what they considered to be more femininely. And were really nervous about it. And I was like, I'm going to do it with you. Let's do it. So we would get all dressed up and put our makeup on and just go out together. And it started as like a whole solidarity thing. And then I had this rush of memories. Like, holy shit. I was like, I remember doing this as a kid and loving this. And And it was like a thing for a while. Like I just would get up and drag and do a little bit of makeup, like put on some lipstick. I'm not good at eye makeup at all. Like a little bit of blush and got out dresses and felt really good about it. And then got some blowback for it again. People are really weird and homophobic, just transphobic in general.
I know. It's also like,
sorry, I'm totally
just no, never apologize for trans tangents.
Okay,
We like those.
This house.
Yes. Man, when people push back, I want to understand it. I also don't want to live in that headspace because I'm like, I like to play. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I like to have fun. And when I see people just like wearing what they want to wear, I'm like, you're having a good time.
Yeah, dude.
That means that we can all have good times together.
Exactly.
I think we're really getting somewhere, guys.
Yeah, me too. We're flying through it, actually.
Yeah, I think we can probably finish this game and then call it a day.
Yeah.
Can I have a short piece?
Yes, darling.
Oh my goodness. We're at the end.
Yes.
Incredible.
You can tell which ones are mine.
Dude, they all look so good. Are you kidding me?
Are
you kidding me?
Fucking kidding me now.
Let's make a big, huge fucking pile.
Yes. Oh my god, yes.
It's very good.
Amazing, these perfect fucking Pompoms. What's the tiny one?
So cute. Yo, guys, great work.
Did it.
We made so many Pompoms.
Just like jungle. Oh my god.
With all the dust blowing. It's so good. I know, the dust is like very noticeable.
Damn, R.I.P. Alan Rickman.
You don't say.